Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? What's your fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? You come home after a long day, you need football in your life the TTNL way. You tap on your phone at the fantasy play. Pause, not like that before you take it the wrong way. You have an idea what players to draft. Then tap on a beer like genuine draft. Study all the players, look close at the stats. A QB first, then a top running back. First you hear cool Kennedy audio, then on your screen you see Jackle, and Claudio. It's a take, never lies production. They keep it fantasy with Ivan's porno production. Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? What's your fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, it's a football fantasy.
Yo, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is TTNL's Keepin' It Fantasy. After another great, crazy Week 7, we're still on a high from last night because our Bears took down the Patriots. I know it's about fantasy, but we're going to talk a little Bears, but let's bring on Chris Jackle.
Hey,
There he is, the man Ivan Vargas.
What's up, guys?
What's up, boys?
hello.
Welcome back. I gotta turn out this music. I can't even hear myself
Oh,
think
my
with this
bad,
music.
my bad.
Get to turn it down a little.
Music. All right.
Claudio, you fucking
There we-
nailed it, bro.
Yeah,
Well,
perfect.
I saw you. Listen, I saw you on the bottom there saying, "Go."
Dude,
That's
it was
what
perfect.
I need tomorrow night. Need somebody back there to be like, "Go." And
There's
then
gonna be
we got
5
like
people
tomorrow.
pointing at you.
Yeah.
Yo, Ivan, I like the new graphics. I was saying it last
Yeah.
week you weren't on, but I like the new graphics. Good job.
Definitely, I got something going on with this. The keeping, I'm hiding the keeping it. I gotta fix it. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So what's up, boys? How you guys doing? How was your weekend?
Good,
Go ahead.
good. I mean, not great in fantasy, but good overall.
That was me last week, Ivan. Just so you know, you missed the show, but I was in your boat. Just saying.
Yeah,
so.
it was a rough one, man. Like my shining star, Brees Hall.
Oh,
Just not gonna even.
that shook up the fantasy world a little bit. And then
It's-
the trade that happened last night.
Yeah, right.
James
the trade,
Robinson.
the Jets, man.
Yeah, the trade. It was. Yeah, it broke my heart. It was a tough one. Ryan Cox beat me in the league, so it was like it was a good matchup. He won by 4, real close.
Ooh.
But yeah, I know. I'm dude. Brees Hall got hurt in the second quarter, and I'm sitting there like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? Somebody save me. Like, it was bad. It was bad.
That's tough, man.
It was
Sorry,
it was a slow, agonizing death. But anyway, guys, welcome to Keeping It Fantasy. If you guys are just tuning in, obviously go ahead and hit the like button, share,
Yeah, please.
subscribe to the network, all that good stuff. We're gonna get it started here. I loved like I said, I love picking Brees Hall, excuse me. But it's just like you expect these things to happen. You have to expect these things to happen, right?
Of course.
So, like, that James Robinson trade. If you have James Robinson, or if you in your league, if he was for some reason not picked up, I think you're gonna really get some upside with James Robinson going to the Jets because he's a good running back. You know what I'm saying? And if you had Michael Carter, you lucky dog.
Yeah. I think. I mean, obviously, at first, I think it's going to be more Carter, right? I mean, because James Robinson has to get used to the offense and this and that. But I mean, he had James Robinson. He was splitting. Well, he was actually losing. He wasn't splitting carries. ETN really started like last week. I think he had ETN had like 70% or 60% of the snap percentage. So kind of saw the way it was going.
Mm-hmm.
And how about for those? I mean, I'm an owner of ETN and in one of my leagues, and I'm stoked. I mean, this dude. I think is going to go off and could be one of the fantasy MVPs in the next second half of the season, because this kid is explosive and he's going to get a lot of touches.
Yeah. They like what they saw. He finally earned his keep, I think, over there, and that trade signifies that, right? I mean, yeah, good call on that. James Robinson to the Jets. Kudos to them for going to make that move.
They had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they like what they have going over there, outside of, Zach Wilson's inconsistency, but, that run game. But Michael Carter and James Robinson, a good little duo. And if you have either of them, and like you said, James Robinson was probably dropped by a few people. We talked about him early on this year. But, yeah, he's definitely somebody you're going to want to try to take a look at, see if he's available. It's such a sad thing. Just so many freaking injuries again. All these number one running backs, man.
Definitely.
It's tough.
And we're going to get into the injuries in a little bit. Yeah. But first, we're going to start with our studs and duds. That is our top performers of the week, and also the bottom performers of the week. Chris, we'll start with you. Who are your studs for this week?
All right. Well, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go start a quarterback. I thought Joe Burrow, just coming into this week, everything looked good last week, and then he comes into this week, and I mean, you saw his first half numbers, and you kind of were like, wait, that's halftime? I mean, he had it was insane. But finishing up with, I mean, yeah, we're 300 yards in the first half, but finished 481 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost 50 fantasy points. I mean, that's just, you don't see that often. Normally you get that from like a Lamar Jackson with those running touchdowns and those 6-point touchdowns for everybody out there. So it's like, that's just an amazing day. Almost 3 receivers with 100 yards, which is pretty impressive also. So for me, my top performer is Joe Burrow.
All right. I mean, that's easy enough. Like you said, just a fantastic day. Yeah. Can't say enough about the kid. He's going to be a superstar. He is a superstar already. So yeah, good pick. Claudio, who's your guy?
Yeah, I was top of my list too, Joe Burrow. But I'm gonna go with this other dude. This dude is a baller. He is one of the hardest runners I've seen this year. Josh Jacobs. This dude does not quit. This dude runs people over every play, and he's a lot like Montgomery in that way. And he went off. I mean, he had 43 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't ask much more from him. And he was, I know I drafted him in like later second round, so, and he's really up there right now with the running backs. He's like
37.5 points.
Well, yeah, for last week, but I'm saying for the season. Let me look real quick.
He's a top 3 running back in fantasy right now.
Yeah, he's 4th right now in points in for running back. So, that guy was a stud this week for sure. He's been a stud almost all year.
Yeah, he had 89% opportunity share. I mean, the dude got 23 touches. He had 4.
Yeah, remember in the preseason? Yeah. Remember when they played him in the preseason? Everybody's like, and that's why he dropped. Yeah. He dropped because everybody's like, oh shit, they're playing him. Oh,
Daniel doesn't like him.
Hey, I'm one of those guys. Yeah. Josh Jacobs.
I drafted him in a few leagues.
And honestly, like he was coming. I think he would have came around even with Chucky in at coach, because Chucky likes to run too. Yeah. But it's just something about having the McDaniels offense and what he's doing this year is amazing. Like I was dead wrong when it came to him, and I'm sure a lot of people were. But he's, like you said, Claudio, he's just playing on another level right now.
Yeah, he is. For real.
Yeah,
Cars. Always love seeing Cars. I miss Cars.
Yeah, I miss Cars too.
Me too.
I think we all miss Cars.
Oh yeah.
Cars is
a pretty. Yeah, he does.
I don't know if
we should do fantasy. Next year,
fantasy?
Cars, you're in the league next year. There we
fantasy.
go.
Cars on the
you already
fantasy
signed
show.
up.
In. You can't.
Who
say
you got,
no.
Ivan?
Well, you guys had some great picks. I'm going to go with Mecole Hardman. I think this Kansas City Chiefs offense is about to take off. There was something that Patrick Mahomes alluded to, and he's like, all these guys are talented, like Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman. You got talent on this team and this wide receiver core. It's just about how you get the ball to these guys, right? And like how you're able to. And he was like, there's going to be a point where the defenses don't know where the ball's going. They don't know where the game plan is. You know what I'm saying? They don't know where you want to go. And you could pretty much go to anybody. And then obviously you have the safety blanket in the middle of the field. But Mecole Hardman and that receiving, I want to take the, Juju as well. But I'm going to go with Mecole. If one of you guys want to talk about Juju, that's fine. But I think Mecole Hardman is, because of the familiarity from being there, I think he's probably going to be maybe a little bit more favored but that's just me thinking like it could be just, they spread it around and Mecole gets what he gets or whatnot. But I think he had a great week this week. The Chiefs beat the living crap out of the 49ers, and the 49ers disappointed me too. It was, like I said, a couple of bad things went my way this week in fantasy. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Mecole Hardman. He had a great year or a great week.
Juju. I mean, that's a great choice. Juju had a bang up day too. I mean, I'm looking here. I think he had 8 targets, 7 catches, 124 yards, and a tud for 18.5 points or 18.4 points. So I mean, two wide receivers averaging over 20 points on a Sunday. That's doing well for fantasy owners.
It's a good Niners team.
Yeah.
I mean, Niners defense.
I'm surprised. They're I don't get them at all, man. Just on the football side, not the fantasy side. They're just such a disappointment. Garoppolo hasn't been playing bad on the fantasy side. CMC trade, I think he's going to flourish there. I don't know what you guys think. We really didn't talk about that at all. That didn't come up last week. The trade happened after. Yeah. And we can talk about it a little bit now if you'd like. But, what do you guys think?
That's a huge fantasy development. I mean,
does that kill Jeff Wilson Jr.? Because what's his name? Elijah Mitchell's coming back soon. And so
definitely kills Jeff Wilson's value. Maybe next week Wilson will still get decent care, but I think once CMC really gets in the groove there and starts, you're going to see his snap shares just keep going up and up. I mean, they brought him in, not to sit on the fucking bench.
No, and it felt like when you're watching like the highlights, and it seemed like every time he touched the ball, it almost seemed like he could break one. And I'm like, you should just keep him in the fucking game. Like, don't take him out. Don't limit his touches. And
he might be playing in a different city, but he's still playing football.
Yeah.
And he knows how to play football.
He's 23, right?
He's get that ball in his hand. He's
He's
only 23.
No, he's wearing 23.
Wearing 23.
Yeah, he's wearing the number 23.
Oh, gotcha.
No, I agree. I think Jeff Wilson drops to the third man out. Odd man out.
He's on your roster pretty much. Right?
The one thing I would say, just throw caution to the wind. You saw what happened with J.K. Dobbins when he came back as well. It's definitely a different injury. It's significant and everything, like the significance of it and everything. Definitely a different injury, but just he's been out 6 weeks. That he obviously he's on track to come back, but just be wary of if that's, if that leg starts to agitate him first couple games out, or if it's stiff or something like that. Because you saw JK was able to come out. He had a good game, and then all of a sudden it's like this knee's bothering him. All of a sudden he has to get scoped.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about not Wilson.
Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell.
Gotcha. All right, cool. I gotcha.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Just throwing caution to the wind. Just if he looks in that first game like that leg is good to go, awesome. But if you're watching him and he's kind of like getting not splitting touches, but even less of the touches, then you see more of Jeff Wilson. Be aware of that. So that's all I got to say.
So you guys think CMC coming in is good or bad for Debo's value?
I think it's good. I think it improves everybody's opportunities there. I just think defenses now have way more to worry about. Not that Jeff Wilson wasn't a slouch, and neither is Elijah Mitchell when he was there last year before he got hurt. I like Garoppolo's ability to manage with those players. I mean, it's not hard to have CMC and Debo in your backfield and, making some things work. And so and you have Kittle, who I think is going to benefit too. I think it's a plus all around in the San Francisco, offense. What about you guys?
I think Ayuk is actually going to benefit the most from him coming. So his value is going to go up more because of CMC, in my opinion. Because defense. Because I saw they were playing CMC and Debo in the backfield.
He just started coming on too.
Okay, so that's just scary for a defense to see those two dudes in the backfield. So they're going to have to really focus on what they're doing back there, and Ayuk's going to have some open fields and some good coverage.
I like that. I like the idea of just continuing the rotation the way it is. I don't think you need to go ahead and remove any snaps from Debo or anything. I think you add a talent and you use that talent with the talent you have and don't change a thing. It was like I said, it was rough to watch this past weekend if you were watching the 49ers versus the Chiefs. I mean, it was CMC's first game, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I like bringing him in. Might have paid too much, but I like bringing him in. Use the talent, use all your talent, and don't change a thing. So anyway, let's get to the duds of the week. We'll go.
You go first, Ivan.
I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just go reverse order.
Well, I'll go with T. Higgins. He wasn't the odd man out. I mean, he caught 5 balls, 7, but 9 points. It wasn't. He had 93 yards, but it's 9 points doesn't really help you out in fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It hurts. So he wasn't able to get over 10. So I'll go with T. Higgins out of all that. All the yards that were being handed out that day. He didn't get any. He didn't get a touchdown. He didn't
bring his plate to the party.
He didn't get the food. He wasn't able to eat. He wasn't able to get in the end zone. So I'll just go with T. Higgins. It was a little bit of a disappointment if you had him. 9 points. Devontae Adams, probably another one, but yeah.
Okay.
T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, 2 wide receivers that disappointed.
What about you?
Yeah.
Listen,
Lamar Jackson, I don't have any shares of him, but this dude definitely has not been good for people. I mean, he put up 120 passing yards, 0 touchdowns.
4.6 points.
4.6 points. He hasn't had over 20 points in the last 4 weeks. And that's not good for your starting stud quarterback. Everybody's talking about Fields didn't have weapons and this and that. Lamar Jackson doesn't have really anybody. He didn't have a really great running back. He doesn't have a great, receiver. He's got Mark Andrews, but
Gus the Bus is back over there. I like him.
He's good. But what I'm saying
stashed
is
him like I told you to a couple weeks ago, motherfucker.
There's only so much you can put on this kid's shoulders, and I don't know. I think he's a guy that maybe you might want to trade. Honestly, you might want to trade him away, see what you can get for him. But I don't think he's going to have a great rest of the season. Okay. Honestly,
the chat's saying Mark Andrews, but I think Mark Andrews was hurt as well. Did he not get hurt?
No, he had 0.4 points. He had that nice handoff to Lamar Jackson. But no, he rushed for 4 yards on Sunday, but he was able to bring in his 2 targets. He was nursing a knee injury though, so it's tough. I mean, but still, you expect Mark Andrews, if he's on the field, he's going to get more than 2 targets.
Right.
But then, hey, how hurt was he? Lucas Patrick broke his toe, and
there's people like really on. I mean, look, if you got your foot stepped on and it's a owie, I get it.
Do you ever break a toe?
If you break your toe, like there's no way you're gonna have 300 and something pounds barreling on you time and time again. You have to plant that foot over and over. You're gonna break your toe. You're gonna continue to break it. It's tough. It's a tough position.
I coach little kids soccer, man. And these kids, I get in and mix it in with these kids, and they step on your feet with their cleats on. And, I'm just saying, this shit hurts. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. I can't imagine having Tevin Jenkins stepping on your foot or some dude that size just heel right on your fucking big toe. God damn.
Like I said, it was broken. It's like, if he can't, I'm sure Lucas Patrick would want to be out there, even if it was broke. If it was broken, he could. I'm sure he would. But even the reports on the sideline, he couldn't even stand on one leg. He was only on one leg. Anyway. Can
we not do the video of him on the fucking cart path driving away? Like, dude, what the fuck? What's he?
And it was funny because we were just talking about it in the group chat in the TTNL chat, and then boom, there he goes. He's gone. Anyway, Jackal, you're done.
You good, Claudio?
I got one more guy. I got
Fournette,
Leonard Fournette with a big done. I mean, the whole Bucks fucking offense.
You're on that 4.6 fantasy kick, man. Same thing for him, man.
Yeah, exactly. 4.6, 19 rushing yards, 2 receptions. So that was a big dud for people, which it's not news to anybody because he was in everybody's fucking lineup and they all saw it. But might as well remind you, he wasn't in my lineup, so I don't have him. But that sucked. But I mean, I don't think he's like Lamar. I think could be having issues the rest of the season. Fournette should be okay.
I hope you're wrong, Claudio, just because I have so much Lamar Jackson. He's the one quarterback I went after. He's my TTNL quarterback in our league. I hope that Gus being back, just stabilizing the running game for them, just gives them an opportunity to hold. But man, I hope you never know. What do we know, right?
Yeah, no,
but I'm going to stick to quarterbacks for a bust for me, and I'm going to go to that high potent offense up in Detroit. Fucking Jared Goff fucking just threw a big stinker. 3.8 fantasy points. He had 21 for 26 on 228 yards total, for passing, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Just had looked good to start the season and has just fucking dropped, man. And here we are. So he's my first dud. You took my Fournette one. I like that. I was going to say James Robinson, but in hindsight, now because he had 0 points on one target and just didn't do much with it, but he's obviously being discussed in trades. I'm going to go with Keenan Allen, a guy that's just fucking sat out with this hamstring injury, finally says he's good to go and gives you a whopping 3.1 fantasy points. I expected more from this bum fucker. This goddamn hammy killed me, man. I was hoping big thing. That one just hurt me because I've been waiting for him to come back. But yeah, 2 catches on 11 yards, pretty much a pretty underwhelming performance, but what are you going to do? Not like Ivan's mustache rides. Those are top quality. So what you 100%. Got out of this dude was not that. So those are my 2 judges right now. And yeah, Mark Andrews for sure, man. That was 0.4 points. And Noah Font. Noah Font, 1.7 points. He fucking sucked ass this past weekend.
Only luxury rides. Only luxury rides over here, Jackal.
That's right, baby.
Noah Fant. And another one we'd mentioned before.
I think we talked about him last week too.
Yeah, there's another guy I actually wanted to go. I just want to go outright and say cut him. And this will be my last one. Just outright drop the kid.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Cut it out.
He's young. Cut him out. Cut him out of your lineup. Cut him out of your team. Get him out of here. Isaiah Pacheco, do not pick this man up. Stop picking him up. Stop picking him up. Don't pick him up. Don't
buy the hype.
No. Dude, okay, 12 fantasy points week 1. Here's the numbers. Week 2, 0.6. Week 3, 0.9. Week 4, 6.3. Week 5, nada. Week 6, 1.8. Week 7, 4.3. It's not working out for the kid right off the bat, and I wouldn't risk a roster spot for that.
I think there's some relevance to what you're saying. I don't disagree with you, but I think some of that has depended on Clyde Edward-Helaire. He was injured to start the season, so he didn't get as many touches. He threw a big dud this week. There was big talk for him. He was the most picked up guy in fantasy. In a matter of an hour, I think he was picked up 275,000 times when that announcement came. He was going to start for the fucking Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I have him in my dynasty.
Monster, so it's not like it's not like you say you call him the starter, but so he starts the first series, and then the next guy comes in. So I'm with you. I would unless you're in a deep league, I don't think you need him on your team because are you really gonna start him? You're gonna have confidence to start him, with McKinnon and CEH over there. So I don't know. I'm with you, Ivan.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and transfer into our segue into injuries. Right? I led the show off. We'll go touch on it a little bit right here before we get into the rest of them. That Breece Hall injury, obviously a bone crushing one for a lot of fantasy owners. Guy was, rookie having probably a rookie of the year campaign up until that point. Jets are on a roll. Yeah, just tough for him. I'm looking forward to seeing what Robinson does in New York.
I'm excited for him, man.
Yeah, looking for what he could do, but it's tough for Breece Hall owners right now. If you're looking for somebody, we'll get into that later, but it's like a weird position I'm in because I have running backs, but it's like if you look at least in my league, if you look at the free agent list, it's running thin. It's really running thin, and you got guys that aren't playing up to expectations out there, and it's just hard for running backs to pick up running backs right now in the middle of the season. Might have to look for a trade, so we'll see. But
we're here giving you that info, right, Ivan?
Yeah,
You're fucking here listening, so we give you the guys to fucking go get so you can win some fucking money. Maybe win the TTNL Fantasy League and get that big-ass fucking trophy and ring, motherfucker.
There's a ring involved?
Well,
it came with the trophy. It was a throw-in. So Ryan Cox got laced out last year as the inaugural champ.
Nice.
But yeah, so anywho, there were tons of injuries. I know you thought Ezekiel Elliott died during the game. You fucking sent out that message, and
I know.
But he looks like he's questionable for week 8. Yeah, Ivan, Claudio, you typed what I was exactly thinking, and then he came back in, and I got an alert. He had like a 21 yard run, and I was like, wait, what? I thought he was dead.
There was a hit to his knee. It looked like the knee hyperextended. Like it really did. Like his knee went a little bit back, and I was like, oh shit. He grabbed it. He went down. He had to get walked off. But yeah, it was very scary for Zeke. I watching it live. I watched the Willis McGahee hit live when I was a little kid.
I remember
That was
that.
disgusting.
Napoleon Kaufman.
Yep, that was disgusting. So, yeah, it was a rough one to watch. But he came back. He was, built like a brick shit
Yeah,
house.
he's questionable for week 8. So.
Oh, so he's probably nursing it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be tougher. It's gonna be all Tony Pollard.
There's
Tony
a bunch
Pollard.
of questionable dudes right now for week 8 in the running back department, man.
Yeah,
it's tough. Chuba Hubbard, Mike Boone. They're going out. Isn't Denver going out to London? Are they playing the London game? I'm trying to remember.
Germany.
Or Germany.
There's a German game. Yeah, the Germany game. See, NFL Germany game.
So don't forget to set your lineup early on Sundays. Make sure you do it Saturday night so you don't forget. Yeah, Jaguars versus the Broncos.
Yeah, that's it.
That's in London, by the way. I think Germany
is it
next year.
No, it says Germany. No, it's Seahawks, Tampa Bay on November 13th. Yeah, it's Germany.
My bad.
Yeah.
So this one's in. This is a home game for the Jaguars.
Isn't the NFL like trying to talk about having 4 teams in Europe or something?
Yeah, they need that 4-hour Concorde jet flight to be up and running for.
Bring back the Concorde.
Whatever they said there's going to be a plane that can get there in under 4 hours, and if that's the case, then I think you have a legit chance.
Going from the East Coast to the West Coast is what, like 6 hours?
We're talking about transatlantic travel. We're talking about.
Let's get back to fantasy football.
Anyway, another injury to report. Ryan Tannehill, he went down with an ankle. He's in a walking boot. He said his quote, his lower leg does not feel great. Malik Willis took over. So if you want to go ahead and take a chance on Malik Willis, stash him, see what happens.
QBs, man.
If you're streaming QBs, Malik Willis might be a guy, but Ryan Tannehill goes down. That's tough for the Titans. Malik struggled. You know what I'm saying? He's a rookie. He's just coming in. He struggled a little bit. But Ryan Tannehill, a big blow to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard's out. I don't know if you talked with DK Metcalf.
You mentioned him. Yeah, well, I was going to say, you're saying guys that pick up for running backs. I mean, obviously, Chuba Hubbard got hurt. Deontay Foreman, if he's still available.
Yeah, you guys should have grabbed him before the week.
Yeah, but he's still available, and I think, he's available like 40% of the league. Yeah. So, he's out there in some people's leagues. But yeah, DK Metcalf. Yeah. I mean, DK Metcalf, you saw him on the car. I was like, oh, that's all right. He's just taking a dump. Shit. Yeah, he's got to take a shit. He'll be back. But I guess he hurt his knee, which sucks.
He dodged a major. Is
that what they're saying now?
Yeah, because they thought he had a patella injury, and I guess it's the same knee he injured before. So they were really worried, but the scans came back pretty clean. But he's unlikely for week 8. Mike Williams, he's expected to be out a while. Keenan Allen, get your fucking reps up. Let's go, bro.
They're gonna need a lot of guys to step up.
Debo Samuel, he's week to week right now with the hammy. Alan Lazard.
Alan Lazard. Another guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know you were talking about Goff being a ball. Yeah, he's really good. Better than his brother. But it's tough in that offense, especially if Goff's going to be a peaks and valleys type of guy. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be a little bit tough. They were the number 1 offense at one point. They got shut out by the Pats, and it hasn't been great since. I mean, they were in that game with the Cowboys. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it is what it is. It sucks for Amon-Ra St. Brown owners and for him. He's having a great year, man. I think that he's the number 1. I think he's trying to make a name for himself, trying to be that dude in Detroit.
Yeah, he is that dude. I mean, that dude. I mean, you saw how he started the year. He was fucking on a rocket ship. So I think if he's healthy, he's definitely
he helped out that offense big time. Yeah. I just think he helped everybody there, And plus, what DeAndre Swift has been out with the shoulder, so it's been tough, And he's supposed to be coming back, but man, a lot of key injuries again. Running backs, wide receivers, a couple of tight ends went down. David Njoku, high ankle sprain. He's
having a great year. Yeah, he's having I think he's
having under the radar guy too. He was a guy that I think was a little bit of a sleeper initially, and just has been steady Eddie, consistent throughout. Yeah,
no doubt. It's a lot of tough sledding for fantasy owners. I don't know if JC Jackson. If you guys are playing with defensive player, JC Jackson is also out, which sucks for the Chargers. Rashawn Gary's out. Evan Neal is offensive tackle, but that might affect the Giants' running game and passing game. You never know because he's
same list I got.
You lose a tackle. You know what I'm saying? You lose a tackle, the running game might suffer. The passing game might really suffer, even though Daniel Jones had a hell of a game this past week. But yeah, those a lot of injuries, tough sledding for some fantasy owners.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's move on and let's talk about the waiver wire as we continue. I know we'd mentioned a few guys. One guy I'm going to go ahead and just say it, and it was mentioned in the chat. Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards seems to be that dude at running back for the Baltimore Ravens.
Listen to me.
You got to go listen to Jackal. You got to go stash him, or if you didn't stash him, you fucked up. So you should have done that. If you're able to do that now. I want to know from you guys, what's the price you're putting on a guy like Gus Edwards? Let's say
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Before you answer, I actually just looked him up 4 hours ago. They said he's limited with a knee in practice this week.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
It's been he has had the designation of questionable since he came off the PUP list, to my understanding. Mm-hmm. But you are right. He was limited in practice
today. But
limited in practice. Still had a great week last week.
Taking it easy because we're hurting. We're missing JK. We're not trying to overwork you to start, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But how much fab are you going with that for either of you?
Well, I asked you guys.
All right, so Claudio, I asked the next question, so you got to answer first.
Okay, no problem. I'll answer. I mean, again, it's tough to answer this question because it all has to do with so
running back 1 week 8.
If you're looking, if you need this guy to start on your team, like you're going to get him so you can start him on your team every week, then obviously your fab's going to be higher. So if you're trying to get him, I mean, percentage wise, this late in the season, I would probably go a good 10% of what you got left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go more.
Why is that crazy?
Yeah. I go more.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you had someone's going to overpay again. We're in that same conversation that we had at Claudio. I think
you're right.
10% might be a little low. You got to be realistic. Someone's going to try to shoot the moon here, so you got to figure it's tough, but.
This is why I love Fab, though, because it adds a whole other strategy. Because, yes, Gus Edwards right now, you want him, but it's week 7. In week 12, when you're about to go to the playoffs, you might need that money to get – because your dude goes down, one of your running backs goes down, and you need that backup. So this is where you always got to think about how much you're spending. And I'd rather – me personally, I like to save my money till the end more, not waste – not go crazy on it earlier on in the year, but – again, it all matters on your situation.
Right.
Exactly. Situational, right? So it's kind of like, if you need guys because you're limping and you're trying to make that playoff push, then hell yeah, you're going to spend that bread. But if you've been drafted well and you dodge that injury bug, then yeah, you should be able to do I think your strategy plays in its best case scenarios, right? Like you hope that's how it works out. You don't need to spend all that money until the end so you can load up. But yeah, Gus Edwards would be the number 1 running back I think that's available right now. Michael Carter's another guy that I think people, well, first off, Edwards rostered around 50 to 60% of the league, depending on where you're looking at. But I think Michael Carter's a guy who's rostered in 63% of league, 60 to like 66%. Someone to really think about. I think he's going to be the 3-down back with James Robinson in the passing situations, and go from there. I think Michael Carter is going to be an ad in the running back room. Then again, he's a guy that's already he's probably rostered in 2/3 of the leagues, which is tough to come out and say it's a waiver claim. But again, here's opportunity to get a running back 2 for. Not as much as I think Gus will cost you because of James Robinson coming in. And I think people are going to really try to overpay for him instead of Michael. So I think you get by like $20-25 for him.
I think Michael will be the starter, but you'll definitely see an even split in touches. I think they're going to use James Robinson right off the bat. I don't think they're going to waste any time with that. They're on a roll. Like I said, that running game was on a roll. The team was on a roll.
We had a couple in there. If you really think about it, this week 7 going into week 8, we've had a few starting running back positions open up in some teams that need to run the ball. So it's pretty wild. You get some real value out there, which is, it happens every year, right? Because everybody's getting hurt in fantasy or football, but it's pretty crazy to think. Just saying, week 8, and here we are talking about grabbing running back 1 through.
Scraping off the bottom. Grab running back 1 somewhere, anywhere.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's fantasy.
Yeah, that's what it is. You guys?
Go ahead, Claudio. Ivan, you got another one?
No, I Gus Edwards. Claudio.
For what? For a waiver wire?
Yeah, waiver wire.
Yeah.
Going around the list. Let's give a few here.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a quarterback you want to pick up.
I love that, Claudio.
I mean, I think, like I said last week, Wendell Robinson there, I think he's going to become a pretty good receiver over there. They're going to start having a good connection. And, yeah, I mean, I think he's got the third most rushing yards for quarterback right now. He's up there with the, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. I mean, the dude's a baller. I mean, he plays the position well. He makes good decisions, and I think if you need a quarterback, I always like rostering two quarterbacks. If you start, obviously if you only start one. So I mean, if he's there, pick him up because he's a good matchup play.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that is a guy that's benefiting from a new coach, right? I mean, holy shit, Dayball comes in, new team. I mean, new coaching staff, new quarterback room, the whole nine, and he's playing himself into some bread. I mean, he's not going to get broken off, I think, heavy by the Giants, but I could see him getting like a 3-year, $75 million deal just to ride it out to see if it's legit and something that the Giants could, grin and bear it if it doesn't work out and they have to draft somebody. Yeah, but he had his best fantasy game last week, 30 fantasy points. He's only had the only knock on him is he doesn't throw for a lot of yards. He's only had two games this year where he's thrown over 200 yards. And I think the high was 217. But with that being said, I'm totally with you. I think he's a guy that is going to help you right now dealing with bye weeks, injuries. Like if you're streaming and you, for some reason, we're stuck with Tannehill and, you need to go get a quarterback. But even if you just deal with a bye, I think that's a golden opportunity. And speaking of buys, I had it right in front of me. Our buys this week are, where did you go?
KC, right? KC and
the Chiefs, the Chargers, those two.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of fantasy guys.
Yep, Mahomes,
my boy Eckler. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Keenan Allen, rest your fucking hammy, you fucker.
30 points I'm gonna be missing.
I think with what's his name? Who's the quarterback? We were just talking about no.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. I was thinking Daniel Jones might get franchise tagged just because it's like
that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, but you're looking at it like this: like if it's not him, then you don't have you let him walk and he's having a great year, or you pay him like 3 years, 70 mil. That's to me that's a lot of money for somebody who's in a contract year, playing his ass off in a contract year.
$25 million signing bonus. There's your investment. Guaranteed or not guaranteed, whatever. I hear you though, but I'm just thinking. If he plays well, how could you let him go? You got to.
The Giants have to get to the playoffs, and he has to take a step as a quarterback. Like I got to see, like you said, I got to see 300-yard games. I got to see you finding receivers. They don't have a lot of receivers. Look, receivers are hurt. They don't really have a great tight end. I mean, he's doing a lot, but the running game is what's making that thing go with Saquon Barkley. I'll be cautious with Daniel Jones.
5 games of over 37 yards rushing, 3 games of over 68 yards. He's had 3 rushing touchdowns in the same span. To Claudio's point, the dude's running.
He's a top 10 in fantasy for the season. He's a top 10 quarterback.
Yes.
Fantasy points. So,
correct.
That's
and rostered in 50%.
If you're in a 10-man league, that means he should be starting on one team.
Yes.
Right? I mean, he's a top 10 for fantasy, so
he's
up there, and he's available. He's available.
He's got Seattle, Houston, and Detroit. He's got Seattle, Houston, and Detroit. Next 3 games. Keenan Allen, it will interest snowboarding. What's that? A pile of cocaine.
Another waiver wire because of the injury to DK is Marquise Goodwin, who went off.
Yeah.
I mean, DK, if he is out, even if he's only out for a few weeks, but he had a pretty nice stat line. I don't know, I forget. He put up 22 fantasy points. So he was definitely looked at a lot by Geno Smith. So that's a guy you might want to pick up too. He's definitely out there. I don't know. He's
not rostered in anybody's. He's got no ranking for roster.
Exactly. So there you go. He's available for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Want to take some questions, guys?
Well, dude, I think we should give more than 4 waivers.
I got more waiver wires. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Andy Dalton. I know the Saints aren't great, but if, like you said, if you're
He's not going
streaming,
to start. I thought Jameis was starting.
I don't know. I don't think Jameis is starting.
Oh, really?
I don't think Jameis is starting this week. I don't think they're sure that Jameis is starting. Let me go double check.
He's
But
finished after fucking 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes for fucking Red Rocket.
he had a lot of fans. I mean, he had a lot of. He put up a lot of points.
Oh, he did.
He put up a shit ton of points, and those interceptions weren't all on him. All right, you get one tip pass that goes right into the guy's hand. Like those weren't all on him.
No,
They were actually driving when one of those interceptions happened. It was a close game at the time. So yeah, I don't know. I would say I don't think Jameis is coming back. They already said the Saints his status for this week is to be determined, TBD. So if you're streaming quarterbacks, you might want to look at the Red Rocket. Like he had a good day. He found Chris Olave, which was somebody that
17.6 fantasy points for my guy, Chris Olave. Thank you.
Hold on.
Yep.
Isn't it the Red Rifle, not the Red Rocket?
Red
Joking,
Rocket.
Red Rocket's when the dog's little fucking.
Hey, the joke was good. It kept going,
Yeah,
and I just
it was
like how
going. It was going. Nobody said anything.
No, Bob Lombo did. Wait, hold on. Bob
Speaking of
Lombo
Red
said
Rocket.
he's laughing at
There
it.
we go.
Red Rocket.
Speaking of Red Rockets, a quarterback you should have had, Justin fucking Fields, man. I mean, fantasy wise, he had his best fantasy numbers this past Monday night. Last night. He's rostered in 31% of the leagues. He's thrown, he's rushed for 364 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 15.2 fantasy points a game right now. But similar to Daniel Jones, not throwing for a ton of yards, but he's rushing the ball. 179 passing, 1 touchdown, did have the pick, 14 carries. I think you're going to just see more of that. That little mini buy with they're just going to, I feel that's coming writing more and more of those, the read option, keep the ball in Justin's hands and let him go instead of him just scrambling. I just feel that you're going to see more and more of that, which means more touches, which means more points for fantasy. I just hope he doesn't break. But he's now had 18 fantasy points in three games in a row. And to me, that is a model of consistency, is something you're looking for. I think now you can go out and pick him up with some confidence, not just as a homer pick, but if you are looking for somebody, you could see some potential big days out of him in the future. Will he have some stinkers? Quite possibly. But it's worth a gamble if you're trying to just get a buy, or you are looking to shake things up. And to Claudio's point, if you roster 2 QBs, you may be worth taking a shot.
28.6% rostered right now, so he is available. That's a good one. I really like that one. Yeah. Any more guys, or you want to take some questions real quick?
Yeah,
well, we talked about all the wide receivers that were hurt, right? And we did. I think we did the running backs. I mean, we talked about.
We had the waiver wire. We talked
Gus
about the injuries.
Edwards,
we got the
Michael
waiver
Carter,
wire. Right.
Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Aguirre, if that's how you say it. He's rostered in 65%. Like a sleeper because they don't have any running backs is Kyron Williams in LA. Unless they go out and get Kareem Hunt, which is possible with trade deadline looming. He's a guy that I know they were in on the CMC deal. They may try to actually go get Kareem Hunt, the LA Rams, and Keontae Ingram, who had a big day last week for Arizona, rostered in 3%. What did he do? James Conner is possibly set to return with a rib injury, so you may see more Keontae Ingram. So just a couple running backs. Wide receivers, did we get over any? Wan'Dale Robinson. You talked about Paris Campbell earlier.
Yeah, I did.
Marquise Goodwin.
I think it's Tyler Algier.
Algier, thank you.
Yeah. It's not Keontae.
Yeah, I didn't realize McCole Hardman's rostered in 18% of the leagues, man. So that's a guy that to the points you brought up on the last segment, Claudio, with the way Mahomes is talking about that offense, he may be a guy you want to go out and grab, right? I mean, fucking 18%.
Oh yeah, any guy really in the passing game of the Chiefs, you want to try to get big, but it is tough because Mahomes said this in the preseason. He's like, every week could be a different guy. And McCole Hardman had a couple touchdowns, I think, rushing, but Juju had a great, Bob asked about Juju.
11 targets, 7 catches, 124 yards.
I don't think he's a flash in the pan. He asked, you think he's a flash in the pan or what? I don't think so. I think he's
trade
number
him
one over there. I think he's definitely the number one over there for sure.
I don't know if they, like I said before, I don't know if they
Besides
have a
Kelsey,
number.
Yeah,
obviously.
No, I
Van
don't know
Jefferson
if
is
they
coming
have a
back off the
number one.
pup list, so he's a guy. He's a guy that's going to be. I see if we're a spliff, he was the last wide receiver on my list here. He's designated to come back from the IR, hoping to make an impact for the Rams as well as the fantasy people that have kind of banked on stashing him.
Yeah, like I said with Juju, Juju's having a great game, but had a great game. I just think that they're gonna play wide receiver. You're gonna get targets, and whether you get open or not, I don't think they're gonna make a game plan around Juju Smith-Schuster. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be like them focusing on Juju or that. I think the focus will be on Kelsey still as that number one target.
Oh yeah, no, I meant as a receiver. No,
Yeah,
Kelsey's the number one. Yeah, Kelsey's the number one target, of course, but. I'll say more.
Are you frozen, Jackal?
No, I'm reading and I'm like, wait, who's getting suspended? I'm confused. Are they talking about Devontae Adams? If that fucking dude gets suspended for that, this fucking league is fucking.
I forget what is it that he did.
The fucking cameraman ran in his way, man. It was bullshit.
Oh,
whatever. Fuck, dude.
Oh, that shit. Back a few weeks ago.
I thought a fine was suffice. It was.
Yeah.
It was good.
I mean,
that was ridiculous because you could tell he just got startled by the dude, and he was just like, "Yo."
Yeah,
there's a guy that just ran on the field with a smoke bomb. Some protester he's trying to sue Wagner. I would be a little confrontational too. Like, who the hell are you running up on me quick? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if he gets suspended.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute. Is that really a conversation? I was like, guys, come on. They're fine. I mean, Jesus, what are we doing? Cash grab.
Cash grab.
So there's a question. This was early before we even started. Bob put this in there. So great to see a half-point PPR flex question this week. Tyler Lockett, Brian Robertson, or Chris Godwin. What do you guys think?
I like Lockett. I think Robinson is. We lost Ivan.
Jackal didn't want to answer. I mean,
Ivan said, "Screw that, Bob."
Said, fuck that answer.
Yeah,
Fuck
half question. PPR. I think I'm going to go with Lockett if I had to pick one. I think Brian Robinson. We talked about him coming back. Great story. We thought we were going to see more. It just doesn't seem to be coming to fruition. Antonio Gibson. Yeah, I don't know. That's my pick there. I was trying to bring up something with respects to some numbers here, but go ahead, guys.
Go ahead, Claude.
I ditto that. I think Lockett, especially with DK out, probably at least this week. I think Lockett is a good play right there for your flex, especially PPR.
Yeah, he's going up against the Giants. A little cautious there, but he's going to be the number one target. I think he will be targeted. Have a lot of targets coming this week. I'm going to go with Robinson against the Colts. I think Robinson is starting to come into his own. After the injury, or not the injury, the attack on him, the surgery and everything, he looked great. He looked pretty strong against us at Soldier Field a couple weeks ago.
17 carries, 60 yards against the Bears, and a touchdown.
I think he's going to be able to beat up this Colts defense come this week.
He had 20 carries, 73 yards against the Packers.
And don't look past what Heineke kind of brings, you know what I'm saying? Like you got a quarterback that the team trusts, but he's gonna do what he needs to do. So I'm expecting Robinson to catch some more passes out of the backfield because he's gonna go ahead and go through his reads, and if it's not there, he's gonna go ahead to his safety blanket. You know what I mean? He does, like Tyler Heineke's not a world beater, but he's trying to play like one, and he does a lot of good things. So I think having a switch at quarterback might help him as well in the passing game. But I like him. I like him this week against the Colts.
I like your Heineke talk too. I just like how he plays the game. He just he was fun to watch. He gets after it.
Scrappy.
Just speaking of quarterbacks that were kind of not on the radar, but we talked about Davis Mills last year. I know I definitely said DeAndre Hopkins was still in Houston. That was just the weed talking. But Davis Mills had his best fantasy game of the year last week. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And he's got the Titans going next. They've given up a shit ton of points to the quarterbacks. I think it's been like I forget the fourth most fantasy points in quarterbacks this year. So I mean, Davis Mills does not have DeAndre Hopkins, but he's got Brandon Cooks in the crew over there. So just something you're talking about Heineke popped into my head. So hey, Davis Mills is out there if you guys still looking for a quarterback.
All right.
Sorry, boys.
Yeah.
All right.
Backwards.
Then we got a trade question here. So who wins the trade? Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook, and Brandon Cooks for Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Ken Walker, and Singletary. That's actually tough. Go ahead.
That's a tough one.
That's tough.
Well,
gonna go with
Singletary could be not obsolete if they go out and get Kareem Hunt. You know, they're in the talks for him.
But you're getting 4, so pretty much you're getting Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown.
Amon-Ra's hurt.
Yeah, he's banged up. Yep.
So you're going to start Brown and Walker probably. So it's Brown and Walker versus Adams and Cooks, in my opinion. That's how I look at that.
I think it should be a straight up trade. I think it should be a straight. Like I know I'm editing it right now live, but I think it should be a straight up. You should add one more to the first batch just to make it, because I don't know if I'm going to even.
You think
pull
it's
the
too
trigger.
Heavy on the other side?
Yes. If I'm getting 4 players, I'm ecstatic right now. Those 4 players, I'm through the roof. Right? No, those 4 players. I'm through the roof right now because I got you pick up 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and what you get 1 running back, 2 wide receivers coming back. I mean, it just seems like lopsided. It seems like a lopsided.
Yeah, I think so. The answer. So who wins the trade is I think it's the team that's getting the 4 players.
Easy.
So whoever's getting those 4 players is probably winning that trade. I agree. You don't think so, Chris?
I like Dalvin Cook. He's coming off a bye week. He's healthy. He's, and you got Devontae. Those are 2 top 3 at their position. I mean, top 10 in both of them. I don't know. But Monte Brown's a question mark because he's injured.
It's not what they did.
No, I know, but I'm looking at Dalvin Cook coming back. He had 24 points.
Looks like he could be a beast the rest of the season. 1
game. He did great, but I'm just saying Dalvin Cook has had a few games this sweet year where he's had over 24 fantasy points. He just came off a game where he had 24. Then he had 15.
Great.
No, but so
you also got
Devontae Adams
too. Don't
Walker's.
That's what I said. It's an A.J. Brown, Kenneth Walker trade because Amon-Ra Brown, I think, with Jared Goff throwing the ball, and he's also coming off this injury. We don't know. Like, he's just hasn't been himself since he came back. Singletary is just, I think, a throw-in in the deal. Granted, he's the guy in Buffalo, but they're actively looking for a running back to upgrade there because they're not happy with his performance. They're not getting the production there.
Nope.
So who would you rather have, Kenneth Walker and starting on your team, Kenneth Walker and A.J. Brown or Devontae Adams and Dalvin Cook? That's what I'm asking you guys at.
Right now, I want A.J. Brown and Kenneth Walker. And for Kenneth Walker, I mean, since he came in week 5, 14 points, 17 points, 28 points. So I mean, he's steadily going up. So
1 big game,
but consistent.
But
since he's got the touches, he's been consistent.
Exactly.
3 weeks, he's consistent.
Since Penny got hurt, he's getting all the touches, and so now that's what you got to go with. Is that if he's going to be getting all his touches, then it's showing that he should be a monster.
A.J. Brown's highest performance is 15.5 fantasy points, and that was in week 1. His next highest was 14.5 in week 3, and week 6 he had 12.7. So I mean,
it's not a lopsided trade by any means.
Yeah. All right. So okay, I agree.
But I agree with you. I mean, but again, that's why I'm saying the team getting the 4 players gets the edge because you're now getting also Amon-Ra and Singletary on top of it. So that's why I think you definitely.
Because I think you're getting 2 number 1 wide receivers. I know Brandon Cooks is a good wide receiver, but I think you get more. I think it's just more value. I think you got more value. You definitely got some ballers in Adams and Cooks. I think Adams be putting up the most points clearly out of all of them, but I think with the amount of players you get back and the value that they have, I think it outweighs it.
Yeah. So here's another question.
I just think the numbers are, I think fantasy points, but for the 4 players versus those 2 players, I almost think it's the same amount of fantasy points for those 4. I don't think you're going to play all 4 of those guys. So to me, that's how I'd look at the trade, but I totally see what you guys are saying with the depth behind. If you get a healthy Amon-Ra Brown, then, I think it definitely helps it out. So, but that's a good conversation. I like trades.
And you never know what Delvin's shoulder, but go ahead.
True.
No, so our man Cool Kennedy had a question here. You guys think about picking up Sam Ehlinger, the new quarterback for the Colts, for a QB bye? So for this week against the Commanders, I mean, I'm all for it. I think Commanders, I mean, they're ranked like 22nd against quarterbacks for fantasy points. So, I think, yeah, if you need a quarterback and you have no quarterback to start, I think he could be a good one this week, depending on who else is available. What do you guys think?
And he's going to hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor a bunch, and he's never thrown a pass in the NFL. I think he is a preseason marvel. He's always done well, since he came in the league his second year. He's done well in the preseason is when I was reading up on him. He could sling it. I mean, in college, he was great. He averaged almost 260 yards in the air. And he also ran for almost 40 yards. So he's a dude that can throw. He was at Texas. Definitely is a guy they feel that can play. Frank Wright said he liked what he saw in practice with the guys making throws that he didn't expect him to make. Just in terms of his grasp of the offense and understanding. But yeah, I think he's just going to be doing a lot of under center and handing it off to Taylor or throwing it to Nyheim Hines in the flat, but that could be a good thing for fantasy.
I just think for them to, they brought in Ryan, as their guy, and he was going to be the starter and this and that. So for them to just do this, they got a lot of faith, I think, in this kid.
Yeah, well, did you hear what Frank Wright said though?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear what he said.
Well, he was saying, I am judged on wins and losses. Quarterbacks are judged on points and turnovers. Mm-hmm. And Matt Ryan, as he's going to take this like a pro. And they brought him in the playoff. They thought he was going to run this play action offense. They thought it was going to be this perfect marriage. It just did not come to fruition. No. And he's also old as fuck. And in the end, there's only so many guys that can play like that. And I mean, Tom Brady probably regrets coming back now, but
he also had it didn't play any part, according to Frank Wright, but he had the separated shoulder as well.
Yeah.
So he was going to be out regardless. But Frank Wright's like, we're moving on.
Yep.
From Eddie Ice.
They give up a third-round pick for him. He's the highest-paid quarterback in the NFL this year.
I was disappointed. I was hoping for a resurgence out of Matty Ice. You had weapons. You had a running game. Colts have been a little bit of a disappointment, in my opinion, just off of that.
Like Jonathan Taylor's arguably the worst fantasy draft valued pick in this year.
Yes. It's been a struggle right now, but I agree with I think Ellinger might bring them. Some excitement. He might bring him some youth. He might be able to run and scramble. Mobility is probably the biggest thing, I would think, because Matty Ice is, like you said, on the other side of 45, 35?
Yeah, he's 37, I think.
37. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'd go. I'm good with Sam Ellinger if you want to pick him up and stash him.
He averaged. I was just looking. He averaged over 25 touchdowns every season. So the guy can fucking throw, But does that equate? We'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll see what he has.
To watch him play, I probably should have said all that together so they don't cut that part out, but whatever. So do you guys want to do some start and sits?
I thought you had one more, Claude.
Oh, I did. I threw one up there. I mean, if you guys want to talk about it, it might be a little discussion. But where would you rank these QBs for the rest of the year? That's a good one. Tua, Kyler, Geno, and Daniel Jones. So, I mean, gotta sit and think for a second about this. Without seeing their schedules, seeing who they're playing, Tua obviously has the best weapons there, and then it goes Kyler, I would think, with Geno losing DK. So, I would almost probably go in that order, me personally. Actually, no, I'm sorry. No, I think I would move Kyler. Kyler, I would move down below below Daniel Jones because of the running. Daniel Jones actually been putting up better rushing stats than Kyler Murray, which is surprising.
That offense has something wrong with it.
I
would go Tua. I'm gonna still go Kyler. I'm still gonna go Kyler, Daniel Jones, and Geno.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Tua. No, I'm gonna go Kyler, Tua, Geno, Daniel Jones. That's my choice there.
You think the Cardinals offense wakes up, or does Cliff Kingsbury get the X?
I mean, I love DeAndre Hopkins being back in Phoenix, in Arizona. I think that's that's done wonders for Murray's. Like, I mean, what did he target him 75 times in the game? So I think, you will, I think, see a ticket. They hate each other, right? Murray and Shannon, or Murray and I did this last week. Clint Kingsbury. They hate each other. And it's going to be the coach has got to go. They gave way too much money to Murray.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
I think. Oh, go ahead, Claude.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think Murray's. I think what they said about Murray's his work ethic, not necessarily that he's not a hard worker, but that there's things there's holes in his game, right? There's holes in his ability to I'm not going to say read defenses, but maybe in the film room it's lacking. Maybe there's a little too much focus on the Call of Duty with Kyler Murray, and that's do you. If you want to be happy, play Call of Duty, fine. But I think that there's some truth to what was being said. Probably not 100%, but I think there's some truth to what was being said with Kyler Murray and that. But yeah.
All right. You guys want to move on? Or we got another one? Off topic. Last week I was
Brees
Hall
Hall. Prior to the injury, would you have done that trade?
Oh, yeah. Brees Hall? Prior to the injury? For Mark Andrews? If I'm getting Hall, yeah, of course.
Well, if he never knew the injury, I mean, if he never got injured, if he doesn't get injured,
no, that's the whole point. No, that's the whole premise
right.
of the question.
Yeah, of course. I think you do Hall, yeah.
Right. I don't.
No? Okay.
No, if this trade is happening before, let's just say hypothetically he doesn't get injured, Brees Hall's going to win the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. Like he's putting up big time numbers before he got hurt. Look, I like Andrews.
I would get Hall. I would be.
Oh, you would trade for Hall.
Yeah, I'd be.
I thought you were trading for Edward.
No. I'd be taking Hall all day long. Yeah.
My bad, Claude.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer, honestly. I mean, Andrews is obviously great, but he's a tight end, and he's his ceiling is usually only so high. The touches Hall was getting was ridiculous, but I don't know. So,
what was Brees doing what was Hall doing every week for numbers? Because I know he came on strong about week 4.
Right here. Yeah. Week 4 was to that point his best week, but then the next week 25 points in week 5. So here's the weekly breakdown. 4.1,
I got
12,
here.
9, 13.8, 25.7, 18.1, 13.2 up until the second quarter. So he had 13 points, and he also had a big run to get a touchdown.
75 yards or something.
75 yards for a touchdown. So he was doing good things. Like I think he was gonna have another big game. The Jets, obviously they won the game. You know what I mean? He's just a big blow. It was just a big blow to them. I think he was gonna have another big game. I think he was gonna go over 20 points.
I'm looking at Mark Andrews here. He had 10.2, 25.7, 28.9, 3.5, 22.9, 23.6, and then he got the 0.4 stinker. I don't know, man. That's a tough trade. That's a legit, you got a good backup tight end and you're fiending for a running back because that's a lot of points.
When you're doing a running back for with that much production, you're talking.
Yeah, but did you hear freaking what's his face's numbers? I mean, that's
I understand, but again, I just don't see. You got to look at what's gonna happen. So Hall being a running back, getting all those touches, is going to consistently put up points. Yeah, Andrews was consistently putting up points, but you can't think that he's going to do that every single week.
He's done it for the last 3 years since he's come in the league, no? There's consistency. I mean, there's a reason a top 3 tight end.
I just put way more value on a running back, especially.
Sure, I don't disagree with you in the value of a running back. I don't disagree there. I just think Mark Andrews is Kelsey, Mark Andrews. It's tough. But depends on your need too, I guess. That's a great question. It's a hard one, man. Did you guys do this one? Last one?
Half point. Godwin, Gabe Davis, and Gus Edwards.
Half point PPR, right?
Who do the Bucs have this week?
Let me check. They have the Ravens tomorrow or Thursday.
So
That
Gus
Ravens,
Edwards
their secondary, their defense
You
really
want any
isn't
part
good.
of Godwin?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
the defense
Bucks are
isn't
going to
really-
bounce back for sure this week.
Do you want part of that? Do you believe in the Bucks? You think they're really going to turn it around? I mean, great. What are they tied for first in their division at 3?
Well, I think
4 or
this
whatever?
week they will, though. I think this week they'll
Okay.
have a good game and they'll win. Yeah, and I think they'll put up points. So I mean, Gabe Davis, Buffalo's playing
The Packers.
the
Packers.
Packers.
At
shit.
Buffalo.
But the Baltimore's Thursday night, by the way.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Tampa. Tampa Thursday night games stink, typically, except for last week, in terms of points. Damn, he's been awful.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with
Godwin hasn't hit 10 points yet.
I think I'm going to go with Gabe. It's going to be Gabe Davis for me. Like, Godwin.
Take that back once.
Godwin is like hit or miss. Like you said, the Bucks have been struggling. Yeah. Gus Edwards is going up against the Bucks defense, which their defense is pretty solid. I mean, they're going to have a tough it's going to be tough sledding with the running game for the Baltimore Ravens. I think Gabe Davis is just kind of like the one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Actually, I looked up Ravens defense against receivers fantasy-wise. Actually, they're 7th in the league, believe it or not. So, yeah, that doesn't bode well for Godwin. So, yeah, I think Gabe Davis is definitely I agree. He's the call there.
They're 7th against the pass, you're saying?
Against wide receivers fantasy points-wise, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Gabe Davis, yeah. Gabe Davis a home run threat. Dude, Godwin's a target monster. I mean, he's had almost 11 targets for the last 4 weeks, but he has only cracked over 10 fantasy points in one of those weeks, which is pretty wild. It just speaks to the production for the Bucks offense. They're not good right now.
Exactly. And Josh Allen throws the ball to Gabe Davis. So Josh Allen's a fucking baller. So he can go off for sure.
All right, let's get into starts and sits. Claudio, we'll start with you.
Yeah. I got one here for you. Raheem Mostert versus Detroit. I mean, he's getting a lot of the shares. He's getting 71% snap percentage last week, so it's probably going to stay similar this week.
Yeah.
And Detroit's second against running backs fantasy wise, so I think that's a start for sure. Put him in your flex, or put him in your lineup somewhere there. What do you think, Jackal? Who you got? You got somebody?
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. I still like Gus Edwards against Tampa on a Thursday night. I feel that he's a dude coming off week 7. I feel like he's not only the hot waiver claim, but he's just a dude that, I feel with the way Thursday nights go and teams just struggle to find a groove passing the ball. I feel like it's going to be more of a heavier run script. I think Gus Edwards could get a ton of carries. I know it's a riskier play because you did bring up him being limited in practice. There is the concern, but he is coming off the knee injury. It is a short week, but I feel with this offense, I'm feeling a bounce back. I like this pickup here. Over the last 4 weeks, they've averaged over 21 almost 22 points to running backs, Tampa. So I think you could see a little something out of Gus Edwards coming in onto a Thursday night. That's one of my starts for everybody.
Okay.
And Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard were like 29.8 points against them last week. So it's like,
So what do you do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a guy that's kind of like I want to go with the obvious in this game, but I want to shake it up a little bit. I'm gonna go Adam Thielen.
Good pick.
Adam Thielen against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are not a good defensive passing defense. They're gonna have 1,800 yards so far. Yards per attempt about 7. You're at a 67.8% completion percentage. So it's been a tough go for that Cardinals secondary. 12 touchdowns. I think that's tied for like 7. There's like 7 people with or like 3 or 4 teams with 13, and then it's them. So there's a little bit of a gap, but they're about top 10 in giving up touchdowns to opposing wide receivers and the passing game. So I'm going to go with Adam Thielen. I think, he's been left out. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is a freak. He's a monster. He's going to eat as well, but I would like to shake it up. I would say Adam Thielen, a lost in the shuffle type of guy, kind of having a resurgence this weekend.
Yeah. Coming off a bye, like you said, week 6 had his he had his second most targets. He had 4 catches, 36 yards, but he did have that touchdown. He's a guy that is consistent in terms of targets, right? He gets an average of 7.1 targets a game, so he's a guy that with Kirk Cousins, he's my quarterback start that I was going to bring up down the road. So I think that kind of goes, a good little marriage there. I think you could see Thielen kind of have a little resurgence. It worked well the last time they played with that break. You'd think maybe they'd try to devise some plays that would benefit that duo. So hey, that could may equal more fantasy points.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back around with the starts. One more before we go with the sits.
Yeah.
Another guy I want to start. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and start David Montgomery. I don't think the Cowboys, like we talked about before, they have a good rushing, a good pass rush. They have decent, good, pretty solid secondary players. With Diggs. I just think that this running game, led by David Montgomery, is going to continue to roll. Obviously Justin's going to get his, but I think David has a big game, kind of similar to what he did against Green Bay. I think that's the type of performance you're going to see this week out of David Montgomery. He had 65 yards. I think him and Herbert were about even in the yardage and almost in the amount of carries that they had. But I think David's going to have a big week this week. I would go and start David Montgomery.
Yeah. Always start David Montgomery, in my opinion. No, for real. I mean, I'm not saying as a jab to you. For real, I just think the dude's just he's always so explosive. He's always so, I can't remember the amount of times I've ever seen him actually go down on the first hit, even if it's only getting a couple of yards extra or whatever. The dude's just so elusive. And if our offense, the Bears offense starts clicking even more, like we did last week, there's going to be a lot more opportunity. Again, Khalil Herbert had that great screen, for a touchdown. It was great. But if that's, Montgomery's series, he's doing the same thing. So he's definitely, has the ability to go off.
The Cowboys have given up 841 yards on the ground. I don't know where the Cowboys are good against the run is, Jason. They're at the bottom. They're at the bottom half.
22 coming into this week.
They're at the bottom half of the league.
3 weeks of double-digit fantasy points. So, I'd love to see Monty have a huge game against Dallas. Dallas's defensive line is hurting anyway. They just went out and made a trade for somebody because they need to get some guys on there, some healthy bodies and some talent. I'm not saying they don't have talent there already, but I think they're dealing with some injury. I think Monty's going to probably run all over Dallas, as we hope. But I just feel like it kind of seems it's looking that way with just how the Cowboys defense is shaping up with that defensive line.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I got another start. We were talking about him before the show. Who, if we could trade for him, we would love to trade for this dude, DJ Moore. He's a baller, and he hasn't had a great season, so far. But last week he came through, had like 19 points, 7 receptions, 69 yards, touchdown. But he's going against Atlanta. It's like one of the worst teams against receivers in the league. So that could bode well for him. And DJ Moore's, I think a guy that you definitely want to start for sure. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I like DJ Moore. I don't think, Atlanta. They're they're actually a weird team. They hang out, they hang around. They're not like world beaters. Mariota's not going to go ahead and beat you, but I could. And their defense is playing okay, but I see where you picking DJ Moore this week.
Well, they're averaging 211 yards a game into receivers.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I can see where
they haven't given up less than 15 fantasy points to a quarterback this year. Mm-hmm. So I think PJ Walker. Actually, I lied. Week 4 they gave up 14.96 points. But Walker's coming off a 15-point performance against Tampa in Week 7. He's a guy you could probably throw out there in a deeper 12-team league if you needed to. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys got any more sits? Starts. You want to go to sits?
I think Derek Carr's a start against New Orleans. He's a guy, he was pedestrian in Week 7 because as Jacobs kind of ran all over him. But Week 8 comes around and Houston's just been they've been terrible against the run. The Saints have been more stout, so I think you're going to see New Orleans kind of have they're obviously, the Vegas is going to have to come out, throw the ball more. Orleans is the second worst defense against quarterback position in the last 3 weeks, so they're giving up tons of fantasy points. And those last 3 games, the Saints gave up 24.5 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And then 24.02 points in week 5 and then 32.5 in week 6. Sorry. So they're just giving up tons of fantasy points. I think Derek Carr could go out. Speaking of Devontae Adams, you could see a big number putting up by both of those guys. So I think Derek Carr is a nice start at the quarterback position. Any other starts for you boys?
I'm good on the starts. I don't know if you want to add something.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Any sits?
Well, I was just going to say that. I'm going to go ahead and sit. You're definitely sitting Russell Wilson. That's a given. I think
he's out. Actually.
Oh, is he out?
He's out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to have to switch. I'm going to have to go ahead, Claude. You take over because mine was Russell Wilson.
Okay. I'll sit Christian Kirk versus Denver because, even though Denver's maybe not winning many games, their defense is actually playing really good against the run and the pass. So they're holding teams to low scores and definitely holding receivers to low fantasy scores. So Christian Kirk might be a guy you want to sit and look for somebody else to start. Got another receiver, Terry McLaurin against the Colts.
Took my guy.
Took your guy? Okay.
That was a good one, though.
Yeah, well, you can add to it. But, again, Indy's, real good against the receivers. Commanders are just a shit show right now anyway, so I think that
I agree. I think Heineke's going to make a difference, though. I think that Wentz was the shit show.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
I think the Commanders made a mistake like the Colts.
Well, for this week, yeah.
But for this week, yeah, I definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, you want to I go or you want to go, Jack?
Go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah,
I think you hit the nail on the head. Indy is the second toughest defense for opposing wide receivers in fantasy this year. So I think you're absolutely right. He had a good week last week, but he's also in the last 4 weeks he's had 2 games where he's had under 45 yards receiving. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I'm with you on that one. Heineke gives you that flash, and he could make some plays, but I think it's too tough of a matchup for Scary Terry. Go ahead, Ivan.
I'm gonna go with George Pickens. If he's been on fire, people have been high on him and stuff like that. Don't start George Pickens. I wouldn't start any Steelers player this week. To be honest with you, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, I think. The Eagles are going to, the battle of Pennsylvania. I think the Eagles are going to steamroll the Steelers. Just my opinion. Don't start George Pickens, and if you're going to go ahead and start any receiver, just go for the Steelers. Just be cautious with that because you're facing Philly.
Yeah, good call for sure.
All right.
Well, real quick, there's a question here. Olave, ETN, flex spot, ETN, all day.
I don't know, man.
I don't know about all day.
Olave put up some big numbers, man.
All right.
If he's healthy,
I'm high on ETN now. I just really high on him. I was high on him earlier in the year, but now, especially with him getting all these carries, touches.
He's been Olave's been inside the top 20 for wide receivers every game this year except for 2. He did miss week 6 because of the concussion. He's definitely a target monster with 3 games this year of over 13 targets. He's only found the end zone twice, so he's getting these points, with receptions and yards. But he's only had 2 games over 100 yards. I'm just trying to bring up ETN's numbers while we talk here, but I know you're super high on Travis, not for obvious reasons, right? The guy's definitely getting his share, lion's share of the touches, and in Jacksonville now. He went 10 carries, and 14 carries in the last 3 games, and that went along with 5 targets, 2 targets, and 5 targets, which then equates to averaging about 15 fantasy points over the last 3 weeks. So. It's a tough one, but I think the trend goes with your guy, man.
I might have to retract it though, because actually I didn't realize they're playing the Broncos. So the Broncos are going to probably try to put a little lock on him. So might not have as good.
Okay.
So you know, Olave's going against the Raiders, who definitely give up some points to receivers. So let me retract that. Bring it back. Scusate, as I say in Italian. Go like this. Scusate. Sorry.
He pretty much he just flipped us off, is what he did. He said, "Fuck you guys." That's what
you made better points. All right.
Anything else, guys?
One last sit, and I just want to say it because I fucking hate him. Sit Aaron Rodgers.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers.
You know, playing Buffalo. If you drafted him, yeah, good for you, because he has just been fucking great. You know, he currently sits outside the top 20 for fantasy quarterbacks. Going against Buffalo, it's another tough matchup. They've allowed just 10.79 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. The most they've given up is 19.62, and that was to Mahomes. So, you know, they're just shitty matchup for Rodgers. Everyone would think for a bounce back, but all I want to see is him passed out face first in the grass like they did last Sunday when they lost to the fucking Commanders. So, anyway, there we go.
Great.
That's my last little sit.
Way to end it.
Yeah,
man.
Just real quick. I'm not going back and forth with Jason. This is it. Sam has been starting the entire year up until last night. And then he started the rest of the game once Lucas Patrick went out. So I hear you. I don't like snaggle puss either, as DDP calls him. But I just think that the number 2 rushing attack in the league is going to embarrass the Dallas Cowboys. Just me.
And now with Justin, man, if they're going to write more plays like that, it's going to be tough to defend, honestly.
Yeah, I saw a stat. I think we had 200 yards rushing back-to-back weeks, first time since like 85. I don't know if it was back-to-back, but right, was that the stat?
Yeah, 243. What was last week? 220.
Yeah.
I forget.
First time since 1985. So that's, and I think we had a good running back back then. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid.
Pretty
solid. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up for us here at Keeping It Fantasy. It's been a great night talking to you guys, Claudio, Jackal. You guys are awesome as always. The chat was on fire. You guys helping, and I loved how the chat's helping each other too. You know what I mean? The chat's talking about talking about certain situations and such. So I love it. I love the the camaraderie. I love the shit that we bring to the table here at Keeping It Fantasy. It's been a great night, guys. For Claudio, for Jackal, and of course for me, this has been Keeping It Fantasy on the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies. Peace.
Yes, sir.
What's your fantasy? What's your fantasy? Keeping it fantasy. What's your football fantasy? Keeping it fantasy. What's your football fantasy?
Lauren, can't they just stay a little longer?
All right. Yeah. Who wants a mustache ride?